Thank you for checking out Lakehead International's videos. You're about to watch one of our Lakehead International live webinars, a fun and informative way to learn more about Lakehead while also meeting faculty, staff, and current students. If you have any questions throughout today's video, please comment below. Otherwise, let's get started. And with that, I want to welcome you to Lakehead University. Lakehead University, for those of you who don't know, is a public institution located here in Canada. More specifically, it's located in the province of Ontario. We're very proud to have two hometown campuses located in Ontario. One is located in Orillia, Central Ontario, and the other is Thunder Bay in Northwestern Ontario. Something we really pride ourselves on is being the fact that we're a medium-sized institution, but we still have strong academic rankings. For example, we are recognized as the #1 in Canada for not-for-profit research income within our category. We're also recognized as the #1 university in North America with under 9,000 students by Times Higher Education Global Impact Rankings. And then on a national scale, some rankings that are held right here within Canada against our friendly institutions across the country. We are considered in Canada's top 10 universities in our category as well. Speaking a bit more directly about Lakehead University, something we pride ourselves on is our entrance scholarships for our undergraduate students. So last year alone, we offered over $7.8 million in entrance scholarships to undergraduate international students. And chatting about those students and what is their experience when they arrive on campus, again, chatting about things we're proud of. We are very excited to offer small class sizes. Being that medium-sized institution means that you're going to have more interactions with your peers and closer relationships with your professors. For example, on our Thunder Bay campus, our student to professor ratio is 15:1. On our Orillia campus, it's 13:1. What that all boils down to, or equates to, as we like to call it, is that we have increased employment rankings or ratios. So 96.3% of our grads are actually employed within 2 years upon walking across that stage, in comparison to the Ontario University graduate average, which is 94.3%. Now that you know a bit more about Lakehead University, I want to chat a bit about academics here at Lakehead and share a bit more about our areas of study or our faculties. So we do offer programs within business administration, engineering, science and environmental studies, natural resources management, education, social sciences and humanities, health and behavioral sciences, law, and graduate studies. Of course, though, today we're joined by guests from the Faculty of Natural Resources Management, and I have the distinct pleasure in introducing and welcoming Dr. Brigitte Leblanc, who is the Dean of the faculty. So I'll pass it over to her to introduce herself and give you a quick overview of the faculty.
Thanks, Jordan. So good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to the Faculty of Natural Resource Management at Lakehead University. So the faculty has 2 undergraduate programs, 3 graduate programs, 2 master and 1 PhD program. And we are one of a small faculty when the class size is very small, and so you have a good interaction between student and professors. So I will now let the Professor McLaren to present.
My name is Dr. Brian McLaren, and I am chair of the Honors Bachelor of Science in Environmental Management program, and I teach in the areas of wildlife and the study of mammals.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Dr. McLaren. Next, I'll pass over to Dr. Leach.
Hi, my name's Dr. Matt Leach. I am the chair of the Honors Bachelor of Science in Forestry program and a professor in the faculty. And my main areas are in wood science and forest products. And I also teach courses in tree development and function.
Thank you again. And next, we'll pass over to Dr. Basilico.
Thank you, Jordan. And hello, everyone. My name's Nathan Basilico. I'm a professor focusing on soil science and forest and wetland ecosystems. I'm also one of the graduate program coordinators, so I coordinate the 2 master's programs.
Great, thanks for joining us. Next, I'll pass over to Dr. Dang.
Hi, my name is Chunlai Dang. I teach silviculture to undergraduate students and tree ecophysiology to graduate students. I'm the program director for the PhD in forest sciences program.
Awesome, thank you for joining us. And last but not least, I'll pass over to Dr. Lee.
Hello, this is Seung-il Lee. I'm an assistant professor teaching forest entomology population ecology for undergraduate students, and experimental design and statistics for graduate students here at the Faculty of Natural Resources Management. I'm originally come from South Korea 15 years ago, and it's been wonderful living in Canada, exploring this wide nature and as well as exciting, unique Canadian culture.
Awesome. Well, thank you again to our entire panel of faculty members. I want to take an opportunity to acknowledge that to our viewers, these are the professors and members of our community here that will be assisting you each and every day if you choose to join forestry and environmental management or one of our natural resources management programs. So thank you again for taking the time out of your schedule to share more about the programs. Before we actually dive into said programs, I also want to acknowledge we do have some students on our panel today. We have students in environmental management, forestry, forest management, and forest sciences. Towards the end of our webinar, we will be doing student testimonials. You'll get to hear right from them about their Lakehead experience. They'll have a few minutes to share each, but I do want to acknowledge and thank them for joining us again today. On that note, though, I think it's time to actually dive into our webinar and chat a bit about undergraduate programs. So I'll pass over to Dr. Leach to share more about the Honors Bachelor of Science in Forestry.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, as mentioned, we have two programs by our dean in our undergraduate, and the one again that I chair is the Honors Bachelor of Science in Forestry. It's a program that looks at how we manage our forests and various things we can do with them. Our program starts off with two common first years, and then in third year they decide if they're going to be in forestry or in environmental management. And within each one of those programs, we have three specializations. So on the forestry side, we have forest management, which, as the title suggests, it's the management of our forests and all courses related to that. The second one is forest health and protection, which more or less looks at things that can affect forests, such as fire, pathology, entomology, which Dr. Lee will be speaking a bit about his research later on, which is part of that part of the program. And then the last one is forest products and marketing, which is an area that I work in. So students come across this. We have a common sort of core curriculum across the three specializations. This is a nationally accredited part of our program. So at graduation, students are eligible to apply to become registered professional foresters, or RPFs, which is a national standing, similar to a professional engineer or what have you. The other thing about our program, I've been at Lakehead for over 20 years now, and we have had 100% employment at graduation in this program. So it's very attractive to employers across Canada and overseas. And our students come out very happy because they're employed well before the end of classes. Another big part of the program, which involves both the environmental, which Brian will speak on a bit as well, and the forestry, is our annual field schools, where our students go out, and it's a bit of a highlight. They go out and they learn about what we teach in class, to the point where they will collect samples on the field schools and then process them through labs during the semester. So part of that is, what we pride ourselves on in this faculty is sort of hands-on experiential learning. We have 5 off-campus properties that we bring our students to, plus our field school. So we're very much about the theoretical knowledge, but also about the hands-on experiential learning in the program.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing more. And next, I'll pass over to Dr. McLaren to chat a bit about the Honors Bachelor of Science in Environmental Management.
Hey, thank you, Jordan. So as Matt said, it starts with the first 2 years common to the forestry program. An applicant would put down one program or the other, because that's how application process works. But through the first 2 years, where some of the basic courses that are shared across animal and plant sciences, the students have an opportunity to kind of land in one program or the other, and a simple program change. That's a unique feature of our faculty comparing others. When a student does declare an interest in environmental management, they're still in the scope of natural resources management, but they would be looking at different types of specialization. So in the case of wildlife conservation and management, our most popular program, the student leaves with the coursework completed to apply as an associate wildlife biologist and eventually get certification for wildlife biologist, practicing often in fields that include sampling for monitoring programs in government. And I'll speak a little bit about opportunities later, but many of these continue with continuous learning in the career. And as Matt said, we have very good placement rates through the summer and on graduation, students working in fisheries or wildlife conservation. The conservation planning and management is focused on tools like remote sensing, other decision support tools that lead students to making advice on how parks and protected areas might be planned, on how forest management plan would focus on scheduling the logging in a landscape that also protects habitat for biodiversity. And our third specialization, sustainable land use, is an opportunity to diversify a bit more than what the first two options allow. So the opportunity to look at agroforestry, agriculture, sustainable food systems, those are some of the options that students have used to tailor the environmental management degree to something that suits them. We are going to be certifying the environmental management degree under Eco Canada, which is a opportunity to again subscribe to continued education and job opportunities in a recognized institution, leading students into environmental management and reclamation. That's my overview.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for both of you for sharing more about our undergrad programs. Something I really wanted to impress upon our audience and highlight is that the entry into the program is into those two foundational years where students have the opportunity, and we've heard this time and time again, where that opportunity to have that diverse course range and really build that foundational knowledge allows them to sample different types of courses and maybe decide, pursue their passion, where are they most successful, what excites them most. But also it helps you interact with a wide range of types of students. So somebody who pursues forestry versus somebody that pursues environmental management may have a different type or way of thinking about something, a different way to process their academics. And having that interaction with them, giving them that interdisciplinary approach to learning is really important and will certainly help you in your career. So that's also a great aspect of the foundational years. Tying into the career outcomes and working and sort of building those soft skills, I'll pass it back to the dean here to share more about the Cooperative Advantage at Lakehead.
Yes, so we have both programs, the undergraduate and also on our graduate, we'll speak later on, as this advantage of cooperative. So it's between 4 and 16 months work, and you can get, you are paid during your cooperative time, and this was done in many national and international partners. In our program, this is important, but the summer job also is a critical part to have for you to get a job. So it's both on both sides, you can have a very nice placement when you graduate. So it's no necessary the need to be on the co-op, but this is an additional advantage to get a better job. So maybe Dr. Matt Leach could put some additional information about this cooperative system.
Sure. Thanks, Bridget. Yeah, the like I say, I am the coordinator for our program for NRMT for the co-op, and as Bridget mentioned, you have an option between 4 and 16 months. Within our program, there are an incredible amount of jobs available. Many students don't need the assistance of the co-op to find a job. Where we do find it being utilized is students who have positions in companies or corporations, and they're being asked if they want to work more than the typical 4-month summer. So we've had a student who worked for OPG, power generation, in their forestry division, and they kept him on for a full 1 year co-op term that was 12 months. So he did the co-op through his whole degree because of that position and the ability. It extends his degree a little bit, but he stepped right into a really good job when he was finished. So there is the opportunity. We just probably, unlike some other programs, there is so many jobs available in our areas that a lot of the students don't require the co-op.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing more about that. I also want to mention to our audience, this is a formally recognized paid work experience that actually is stated on your parchment when you graduate from Lakehead. Whereas, of course, if you're looking for an internship or a summer part-time job, that's something that you will pursue, and there's supports and services available on our campuses that will help you do that. On that note, I think it's time to chat about sort of the next step in education, or for some of you that are perhaps pursuing further education after completing an undergrad or bachelor's degree in your home country. I'd like to pass over to Dr. Basilico to share more about our master's programs.
Excellent. Thanks, Jordan. So yeah, I'm the coordinator for the two master programs. So we have the Master Forest Management, which is a course-based program. This is a 16-month-long program. So that's four academic terms. So you can begin either in our fall term in September or in January. The program generally has 3 of the 4 terms that are based on campus in the classroom, and that would be either 1 or 2 fall or winter terms, depending on whether you start in the winter or the fall, and then 1 summer term. There's 8 required semester-long courses in that program, and then there's room for at least 4 electives that students could choose in their area. This program, we accept students not only coming from forestry backgrounds, but also from complementary disciplines. So, for example, other aspects of resource management, like agriculture. We accept students from a broad range of environment programs, including environmental sciences. Occasionally students from fisheries management, from zoology and wildlife management. So it's a pretty broad-based program. And within the elective courses, you can choose courses that sort of fit with your experience and your interests. During the summer, the internship is a typically 300-hour full course credit. Sometimes they are paid and sometimes not. And the idea is to place students with partner agencies, so they could be private sector, so companies or government agencies, or sometimes environmental NGOs or not-for-profits, to get students some kind of hands-on work experience and make those connections. And then there's also a field school for the course-based master's students as well. So the other program is a thesis-based master's. And in this case, you generally have to have a supervisor identified before you can be accepted into the program. So in the course-based master's, if you're, meet our criteria in terms of your academic background and marks, it's kind of you're accepted based on a review just of that. For the thesis-based program, you need to do some homework beforehand and make connections with a potential supervisor. So it can be one of the core members in the Faculty of Natural Resources Management, but we also have faculty members from other units that do supervise students in our program, and adjunct faculty members. So in that case, you would be taking far fewer courses. The program is typically 2 years long, not 16 months. And most of your time is spent working on a research project in collaboration with your supervisor. So I think that's hopefully a good brief overview, and thanks again for the opportunity.
For sure. Thank you again for joining us. Next, I'll pass over to Dr. Deng to share more about our Doctor of Philosophy in Forest Sciences.
Well, hi, I'm the coordinator of the above program. It is truly an interdisciplinary program. It involves a wide range of research areas, from the social science aspect of natural resource management to engineering aspect, the science aspect, and the policies of natural resources management. We have supervisors not only from the Faculty of Natural Resources Management, but a number of other faculties within the university in Thunder Bay, such as history, engineering, biotechnology, and chemistry. We also have professors appointed as adjunct professors to this faculty and act as PhD supervisors from government labs and other institutions, such as the Ontario Forestry Research Institution, the University of Ottawa, University of Western Ontario, and so on. In terms of student composition, we have students coming from a variety of different countries, from Africa, Asia, North America, and Europe. So it's really diverse in terms of student population, professor population, as well as a research area. It's an international center for science and management. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing more. And as we sort of come full circle to sharing information about our degree programs here at Lakehead University, I'll pass over to Dr. McLaren, who's going to chat a bit about career opportunities. If you're ready to graduate Lakehead and move right into the workforce, he'll share more about this. Of course, I want to note this is by no means an exhaustive list of where our foresters have gone in the past or where our graduates have gone in the past, but it might give you a better idea of where we might see them going one day. So I'll pass over to him.
Okay, thanks again, Jordan. You can look at this list and see, even though it's not exhaustive, it's pretty diverse. The forestry degree builds a career that is based in some cases on planning. Some of our sustainable forest license areas in Ontario are very large and include numerous communities. This gives students opportunities to work on balancing social and economic and environmental concerns in a planning framework. On the other hand, a student who graduates may have taken one of our courses called Urban Forestry and be focused on the higher value that each individual tree has when it's in an urban context, whether those are urban parks or trees that line our streets. They have additional values in mitigating the climate that can be an urban heat syndrome, an urban stream syndrome. So students can work in maintaining a clean and healthy city environment. Those who have an interest listed here as GIS, that would be collating information that comes from monitoring a variety of ecosystems, whether they're aquatic or forested or agricultural, agroforest. Those sorts of data that are collected in a monitoring program are used in GIS platforms to advise on decisions. I mentioned consultant earlier, and whether it's a forestry consultant or a wildlife consultant or a parks consultant, there are great opportunities for continuous learning on specific survey techniques, on group decision-making, on ways in which you can be forefront in shaping policy. There are government jobs that offer on-site training. For example, many of our graduates have moved on to the Forester in Training program, opportunity the Ontario government provides, where the graduate spends 2 years on the job, but moving into a higher level job later on in government. We don't have graduates limited to opportunities in Ontario either. Many students work in Western Canada. Some find jobs with Department of Fisheries and Oceans in the Great Lakes or Eastern Canada, and many opportunities that allow for exchanges, starting with our international field school and moving to internships that can be taken abroad at partner universities, have opened doors for students to gain jobs that may take them into the sort of the global workplace. So that's a quick overview of a very diverse set of options for our graduates.
Thank you for sharing more. And to touch on the international experience, of course, being that our audience is international typically, this may be the opportunity where you take your degree, a Canadian degree, which is recognized worldwide as being highly valuable, and bringing it home to your home country and pursuing a career back there, which is always exciting when we see that happen. So we've touched on the programs here at Lakehead, and we've touched on where we anticipate our graduates are going in terms of careers. But you may be asking yourself, what makes Lakehead's programs unique? Why would I want to pick Lakehead? So I'm going to pass over to Dr. Leach to share more about field school, which is a very exciting aspect of our undergraduate program here at Lakehead University, and our grad programs to a select number of them. And then he'll also share more about our international field school. So I'll pass it over to him now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, a big part of our programming that we strive for is experiential, and can call it what you want, hands-on learning. We have several woodlots around the campus, around Thunder Bay, that we take our students to, but beginning of every year we have between sort of 6 and 10 days where we take students in every year out to a field school. So in first year they typically will go locally on daily trips. It could be around campus, it could be somewhere in the Thunder Bay area and region. And they'll learn about, some basic things, mensuration, different soils, things like that they can look at. Well, soils is kind of second year. But they will go out about different plants, so the Canadian plant species, things like that, they learn in their first year. And they will collect samples while they're out in the field, seeing where they come from, and bring them back, and they will either produce reports on them, or they will utilize them in their labs during the semester, where they know exactly where the materials came from, and then they can do analysis or what have you on it in labs and in classes. Okay, and then in second year you go a little bit further from town. It might be a little bit further into the regions. Similar things. Part of that's with soils and other things. So you start to bring a lot of what I call factual based information that you will then use in subsequent years and subsequent courses. So the idea is every year is to build on what you learned in the years before. And then, at the final, you kind of have this glorious day where you hopefully understand a lot of stuff about natural resources management. In third year, you start to go further from town. So you may go overnight. This year, they're west of town over towards Atikokan region. And again, you start looking at various other things, taking together your first 2 years of knowledge. And so we'll start looking at mills, how we process wood, different aspects of utilization, working with First Nations, looking at wildlife, looking at policy. So we try and start bringing in a lot of the aspects of what we teach during the year into those field schools. So it's fresh in their mind, and then they go to classes on it. In fourth year, it's typically a trip outside of the Thunder Bay region. Could be in Ontario, could be anywhere across Canada. We've been coast to coast pretty much, down to New Brunswick, all the way out to the oil sands, places like that. This year they were in Southern Ontario, which is a different forest region than Northern Ontario. We're in the boreal forest, where they're in Carolinian hardwood forest down there for the most part. And so they learn about how things occur in different areas. And the idea is to broaden the knowledge of how resources are managed. Another part of fourth year is an international field school, as the picture shows here. I believe this was in Ecuador. And we have taken students. The students will apply to this. There's an extra field school fee because of the cost of flying international, but the faculty has an endowment in which we also cover part of those fees. Some years it can be up to half of the cost of the field school. And we've been to places like Ecuador, which is showing, Scandinavian countries, Finland, Sweden, Scotland, Estonia, India, China, South Africa, Ghana, and West Africa last year. This year, I took students to Italy. So the idea behind this is to, one, give the students an international exposure to how natural resources are dealt with, and how other countries, what their policies are, what their practices are. And part of that's so they understand how the rest of the world deals with resources, and also to see how well Canada deals with its resources on an international stage. We're very good at what we do with forestry, and that's recognized globally. It also gives a lot of students the urge to get a travel bug. This year, the students I took to Italy, most of them, it was the first time they've ever been out of Canada. Many of them, it was the first time they've ever been out of Ontario. So it's a real eye-opener for most students to see the rest of the world. Again, we were in Italy, and forests there, you know, they've been managing them with the monks for over 800 years. We haven't had anything in Canada for that long, as far as, you know, utilization from that at that level. So it's a great experience. The students always speak highly of these trips. It's an eye-opener, and a lot of them get the bug for traveling. We have several students, because of our international field school, who now work overseas. So our degrees are accepted at an international scale because we are a nationally accredited program. And so there's lots of opportunities, not just in Ontario or in Canada, but internationally for students as well. So it is a real highlight of our program, and it's a big sales pitch for this program is our field schools, because it really brings home what we teach.
Awesome. And to add on to that, of course, our location here in Thunder Bay and access to the boreal forest is second to none, because it's one of the greatest forests in Canada. It accounts for a significant amount of the land mass in forest environments, and it also attracts a lot of researchers because it's fairly intact, being so large. A small correction: this photo is actually taken with one of our partner institutions in Mexico. So yet another it was in Mexico, yeah. So it's another international field school that our students have gone on. As you heard the list, so we've been sort of all over the world. So it's easy to confuse them, but it's always exciting to see where next year the students are going to end up. So on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Lee to share more about faculty research and specifically touching on his research and student participation.
Okay, I'm an entomology professor here at Lakehead University. My current research is largely focused on various aspects on biodiversity responses to forest harvest and their recovery, and trying to understand how forest organisms respond to different harvesting methods, how they recover, and how long they will take to recover. So more specifically, I'm studying ground-dwelling insects and flying saproxylate insects and their responses to commercial thinning and biomass harvest. I'm also interested in studying pollinator diversity, such as honeybees, bumblebees, flower flies, and many others. So since there is a steep decline in pollinator richness and abundance, it is important to study their diversity and distribution in northwestern Ontario. Because arthropod diversity has been poorly studied in this region, there are lots of opportunities to tackle these huge research gaps. My research requires quite a bit of amount of field work to sample insects and other arthropods using various trapping techniques. So undergraduate and graduate students are the key to conduct these exciting field studies, traveling different types of boreal forest in Ontario and perhaps other provinces, depending on their research projects. So students in my lab will have great chances to learn how to sample diverse group of insects, as well as how to identify these ecologically important species. As an international professor in this faculty, I have a great connection to South Korean entomologists and ecologists in different universities and organizations. So students may be expected to have interesting collaborations with some Korean entomologists as well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing more. It's very interesting to hear about just one small piece of research that's happening here at Lakehead University, but also, most importantly, your commitment to involve students in that research and your connection to a home and those other professors and perhaps their students that are conducting research with them. So thank you for sharing that. Last but not least, before we dive into our student testimonials, I'm going to reintroduce Dr. LeBlanc, the Dean, and have her share more about some of the state-of-art technology and scientific equipment, as well as laboratories that our students and professors use day in day within the faculty.
Thanks, Jordan. Yes, besides being Dean, I am also professor of remote sensing, and one of the tools we use in remote sensing is this UAV drone things, and we have a good laboratory related to drone and UAV applied to forestry and other environmental management things. So yes, Lakehead is quite a new university, so we have state-of-the-art scientific equipment and laboratory, and with vibrant research activities with several strong professors who develop very original research. So this is something particularly on the graduate level, interesting our international student. Next slide, please. So another is what Professor Leach is studying is all the wood structure and wood properties. So here's an example of another laboratory when we have a state-of-the-art also equipment. And in addition, even being at the undergraduate level, sometimes you can have access to these kind of laboratories, not only open to graduate students. So we involve a lot the undergraduate student in the research agenda. And one of the things, for example, we have in our program a senior thesis who allow you to do an original research project at the end of your bachelor degree. Next, please.
Thank you. Before I depart from this slide, I want to thank you for touching on undergraduate research and really driving that home, because as you may know, and some of the colleagues that have perhaps been a part of other institutions and universities, and to some of our students that may have pursued their own undergraduate studies elsewhere, recognize that a vast majority of those research opportunities and access to these testing facilities and laboratories is reserved for PhD students or master's students that are conducting high-level research, whereas Lakehead has always, and from the ground up in those foundational years, almost over 60 years ago now, we've involved the undergrad students in that research. So it's another important part of why students choose Lakehead. On that note, I think it's a great segue to introduce our undergraduate students. So I have the distinct pleasure in kicking things off with introducing Chen, and I'll have her share more about her Lakehead experience.
Hi, I'm Gas. I'm Moyu. There is a lot of my pleasure. Yes, I'm really interested in studying Lakehead University, especially the field school. Is a really different experience for me. I never entered before, so especially the international field school. The Matt mentioned that. I'm follow the Matt to the Italian this year. Yes. That is a good opportunity for me to consider my work part when I'm an undergraduate graduate, and I hope I can get a higher degree after undergraduate. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And just to remind the audience, Chen, you're in environmental management, and where are you from in the world?
I'm from China.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
you've made the journey to Canada to join our Faculty of Natural Resource Management. So it's exciting to have you. Thank you again for joining us and sharing more. Next, I'll pass over to Sangeetha, who is in Forestry.
Hi, I'm Sangeetha Subhash. I am from Kerala, which is a South Indian state. And I'm in my 4th year of the Bachelor's of Forestry program, and I'm specializing in the forest management. So my experience at Lakehead has been really good since I started, because I started my university studies in 2020. It was when the COVID pandemic hit. So I had to do my classes back from home. So we had the time zone differences, but the professors had been really helpful and patient with me, because I'd have a lot of questions, because Canadian ecology and soils is like completely different from our Asian. So it was a really cool experience. But then for my 2nd year, I got to come here, and then being out in the field and experiencing it in person was the most exciting part of being here. And then learning forest plants in person, the different species of plants and animals. And the soils class was the best.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you were able to stick through with us during the pandemic. And now that you're here in Thunder Bay for a few years, we hope that you've been enjoying the in-person experience and of course, by the sounds of it, the field school. So thanks again for sharing more. Next, I have the pleasure in introducing one of our master's students, Shobit, who is in the forest management program.
Hi everyone, I'm Shobhit. I'm from Punjab state of India, and I started my master's degree like last September, and the experience of Lakehead University for me was very good. And I personally want to thank Dr. Bridget that she really helped me in getting my internship. Like we usually have bi-weekly meetings, and she really guided me about that. And professor here are not only like focused on the classes, even they are just focusing on deeply committed like fostering to sustainable forest management. They are giving students experiencing not only theoretical based knowledge, they are giving hands-on experience. And in field school as well, like we did go to field school for 8 to 9 days with the indigenous communities to know their cultures, to know what they were doing, and now they are in what situation. So yeah, like the experience was really cool, and now I am in my final term. So yeah, thank you so much for everything, Lakehead University faculty. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having such kind words about your experience, and I'm happy to hear that you've been able to, sounds like, make good connections with our faculty. Last but not least, I have the pleasure of introducing one of our doctoral students, Sahari.
Hi, my name is Sahari. Actually, I'm now a postdoctoral research at Hokkaido University, Japan. I'm originally from Japan, where I'm collaborating on the project with Professor Dang in the Faculty of Natural Resource Management. But I did my PhD doctoral course in forest science under Professor Dang at Lake University in 2019, from 2015 to 2019. And I wanted to take a moment to share my experience with natural resource management program. What impressed me the most was the strong sense of community within the department. Here, professors and fellow students are not just co-workers, they become like mentors and friends, and they are very approachable and always willing to assist. And then also the series of the courses offered here are well designed for PhD students to equip you with the skills and knowledge needed to become an independent researcher. These courses provide a solid foundation covering everything from crafting a research proposal to data analysis and then also the manuscript writing. So it really helps you to become an independent researcher. In summary, the natural resource management program has been truly life-changing for me. It's not just about education, but it's about forging lifelong connections, like embracing your passion, and then also preparing yourself for the future where you can make real impact on our environment. So I really feel good that I finished my PhD throughout these courses, and yeah, I really appreciate the experience from Lakehead University.
Well, thank you for saying as such, and I'm really happy to hear that you also touched on the fact that the community within natural resources management takes it beyond just being colleagues. So it's not just your peers and the professors; they truly become mentors and friends, and in some cases something like a family, which I think really speaks to also if there's opportunities for you to have experiential learning, or perhaps there's moments in your degree where you're struggling, it's more approachable. The faculty are somebody that you can lean on a bit more, or you can go to and express to them how you will be successful, and they're always happy to help. So thank you to our students for sharing more about your Lakehead experience. I really appreciate hearing that student voice, of course. One final student voice I want to share back is another alumni that we have from China. This is Sharon. Sharon is one of our honors Bachelor of Environmental Management graduates. That was the first program she did here at Lakehead University. And when we chatted with her about her Lakehead experience, she reflected on the small class sizes, providing her more opportunities to participate in the classroom. And of course, field school being one of the best hands-on experiences for her. She was able to do field school here in Thunder Bay in the local region. She also traveled elsewhere in Canada and across the world. and she spoke about some of that and spoke very highly of it. She loved her program so much that she also then pursued her Master's of Science in Forestry, and she's also a proud graduate of 2 programs here at Lakehead. So this is just one of the many alumni that have great things to say. And you heard it here first from our students as well about the Lakehead experience. So once again, thank you to everyone for joining today and participating, sharing more about the Faculty of Natural Resources Management, pardon me. With that being said, it's time to head over to the live question and answer period. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, I want to encourage you to comment below or connect with us on social media. We can be found at Lakehead International on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for watching once again, and hopefully we'll see you at the next live webinar. Bye for now.